Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the Golisopod with the buffed X-Scissor in the Open Master League. I kinda wanted to try this Pokemon out literally just for fun, and I can't wait to commentate this video, as I'm just coming from a 10-hour shift to make the last video happen. If you haven't seen that one, that took a long time. It was about the series, like the tournament series for Pokemon Go. Was a lot of fun to do, but you're going to take a look today now at the Golisopod. This Pokemon actually is going to be interesting, because it's actually not going to be too bad, and you're going to see some very interesting matchups for this Pokemon, which I did not expect at all. Mainly because Shadow Claw plus Liquidation is actually kind of cool, but here, for example, we're going to have the matchup against the Ho-Oh, which is going to be fairly decent, as he can still go for the Liquidation, and also get some damage onto the opponent, forcing me to use a shield though, which can be a little bit tricky. Sacred Fire is luckily, never mind, it's definitely getting it the drop there for the attack, but we can still go ahead, go for the Liquidation, going to get the shield from the opponent, and the next Liquidation is coming through and gonna get the knockout. They did not expect me to get to the move that fast, and this was their own fault, as now I'm going to have my Xerneas still available, and we're not even in range for the hard-hitting Dragon Ascent there. Next opponent, House Dark, one of the best players in the world, also having all the shirt on for winning a regional, but they did not expect to encounter a Golisopod, I would say. Side Strike is going to do some decent damage against us, but the matchup against Mewtwo is going to be winnable in both a 1 as well as a 2-shield scenario, no matter what the opponent is going to do, because 1 X-Scissor plus a few fast move damage there with the Shadow Claw is going to be all it takes to get the knockout against the opponent, as we can now move on, go for a Hydro Cannon against the opponent's Kyurem, which is not the right move to go for, but doesn't really matter too much, I felt at least, so like I want to get the drop maybe, but X-Scissor is the better move to go for, because X-Scissor is actually neutral, which I completely forgot at that point. My own mistake, definitely. But we're going to now encounter the Groudon. We can go for a charge move here, which is gonna get the shield from the opponent, but I'm gonna get the opponent fairly low as well, which hopefully gonna put them into range. I can use my Geomancy to just farm them down. Not sure if this is going to be actually range for this, because Geomancy is basically doing next to no damage. As you know, it's like a rollout clone. So we're going to now see that they can still go for a charge move. Is this a Prisma's Blade? It is not. It's just a Fire Punch, and I can go for one Moonblast first, which is going to get the shield from the opponent. And I think afterwards I'm just gonna go for another Moonblast. I'm still going to be able to survive the Glaciate from the opponent here, which is going to look fairly decent for us, as I'm actually now going to go ahead and go for a double close combat, knowing that I'm going to be able to reach those charge moves anyway, winning us this game, which of course was hard counter. Like, I'm not going to say that, oh my god, Golisopod is the best Pokemon in the Master League, but I had some fun with it, which is the main reason in my opinion. Right now, nobody had Legend yet anyway, so why not have some fun in the Go Battle League, as I try to catch a move here against the Groudon, but the opponent decides to swap into their Dialga. This can be a little bit tricky, because of course our Golisopod is not going to have any move that's going to hit the opponent's Dialga, but this matchup is, interestingly enough, a little bit better than you might expect. We can go for Liquidation here. We still don't get the drop there for the defense of the opponent, but I can now use a shield against the opponent and maybe force a shield from them. As I can go for Liquidation, I will do some decent damage here, and I will put them into a range where I can maybe farm them all the way down. I'm gonna use another shield, and yes, we're going to be able to flip the matchup against Dialga while using 2 shields. Was this the smartest move? Of course not, definitely not, but it was a lot of fun, so I can just go ahead and go for the Liquidation, do a ton of damage against the Groudon, and we even get the defense drop, which is really cool, as we can now go for a fast move with our Kyogre, but the opponent has so much energy stored still, and we're going to see the Tyranitar in the back, which is, sadly, with a 2 shield, just going to be able to win this game. Like, there's not a lot that I can do about this. I can go for a close combat now, but yeah, I have to go for 2 close combats anyway, as the opponent still had 2 shields left. So this was a little bit of a trickier one, even though the opponent maybe would have also been able to go to the Tyranitar against the Golisopod, but we're going to encounter another Mewtwo safe swap. Something we are definitely safe against, because we're going to be able to go for the X-Scissor and do a ton of damage against the opponent. This is going to be, again, a fairly decent matchup for us. We can just farm them down here at this point, as we can use a shield, and we can realign our Pokemon, which is going to be important, as we of course don't want to have a Dragon type against our Kyogre in the back, and this is going to be definitely fine for us. We can even get the opponent now into range for just one close combat with the defense drop is also kind of nice, but I'm most likely going to have to take one charge move here real quick. But I'm going to go for the Moonblast first, trying to get the shield from the opponent, forcing them to use a shield here, maybe getting the attack drop. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to get a single attack drop with Moonblast because it's me, but Iron Head is coming through, not going to get us into knockout range, but we're going to see sadly the opponent's Giratina in the back being a little bit too tough for us to deal with, as there is not a lot that we can do here right now. They're gonna go for the Shadow Ball. They're still going to be forced to go for another charge move here. I can go ahead and go for the Origin Pulse, which is going to get the shield from the opponent, which is definitely nice. But as we're going to see right now, they can go for the knockout with just one Omni as a wind. I still need 2 more fast moves to get to a Moonblast. My health is fairly low, and there is not a lot that I can do here. I can still try at least, and I'm going to try to go for one charge move here. This Moonblast is going to get the knockout, and just barely, I'm going to be able to just reach the close combat, and we can say goodbye to the opponent's Dialga as we were able to win this game. Next opponent coming up, we're going to encounter Dialga in the lead. This is going to be fairly decent for us, especially as we're going to have close combat. And my usual play is just to go for a close combat and hope that the opponent going to get, let this move go through and just going to farm down later on with some different Pokemon. In comes now the Ho-Oh, but in comes also the Golisopod, which can go ahead and go for the liquidation, but sadly, because he swapped in, the timing was not right and the opponent got a free fast move in, which is really not ideal for us, but I can still go ahead and go for at least a liquidation. As we got a shield from the opponent, I can still go for another move here. And I don't even really care too much about this matchup as much. I should be able to let this move go through if I wanted to, and I do want to, because even though, yes, the opponent going to have still their Dialga in the back, it's going to be fairly low thanks to our, close combat from the beginning already, so I'm going to be able to just use a shield here onto the potential Draco Meteor, which will allow me to farm them down, but we're going to see the Xerneas coming in. Now I can still go for one Origin Pulse. This Origin Pulse is going to most likely get the shield from the opponent, or not. I'm just going to hit them, and the opponent decides to forfeit this game, allowing us to move on into the next game. Fun fact, our Golisopod going to be completely hardwalling Mamoswine. So I'm going to try to catch a move here, which sadly does not work out as well, but we will still be able to go for the liquidation, which is going to be fairly nice for us, as we can just go for hopefully a defense drop. No, we do not. I can still go for another liquidation. Maybe we're gonna get the defense drop here right now, as this is gonna get no defense drop again. Would be really nice, because if we get a defense drop early, I'm fairly certain we can even easier realign our Pokemon against the Dialga. But again, no defense drop for us, but we got the extra fast move through, which is going to allow us to flip this match up against the Dialga with just using one shield, and now we can have the Giratina aligned against our Xerneas. But this Giratina is a little bit different, as it's going to be very, very strong in general in the current meta. Definitely the Pokemon that I want to build the most now. The Giratina Altered is so bulky, it is absurd how strong this Pokemon is, but as you can see, we can at least still go ahead and go for the shield against the Mamoswine and get the high horsepower still on us, but it is not really looking too good for us, as we can see right now. I can go ahead and go for a Surf, but it's now 2 shields against our Xerneas, and there's not a lot that I can do about it. As you can see right now, the Moonblast is coming through, and this is going to get, hopefully, the knockout. No, it just does not even get, of course, they're going to just use their shields here. Like, there's no reason for them not to do this, and they're going to still have Ancient Power, which is going to even have the chance of buffing their stats, which is going to be wild. Giratina Altered, so underrated right now. Can even beat, I think, sometimes the Dialga in some matchups, so definitely a very strong Pokemon. It is absolutely wild how bulky this thing is. Especially now where the Lugia is gone. This is most likely the bulkiest usable Pokemon right now for the Master League. Of course, yeah, Lugia you can still use, but it's fairly rare to be seen. Something that I have to say, I got kinda lucky with this team, because the amount of times I encountered Rayquaza in the lead with this team was absolutely insane. Like, I encountered this Pokemon next to like 50% of my battles, which of course impacts my win to loss ratio, as I am totally fine against this Pokemon in the lead. So I was very lucky with the matchups, which I have to say, that's like the thing that you kind of always have to reflect on. Very lucky with the matchups that you encountered, and I have to say, for Golisopod, I definitely was. Like, I had a lot of matchups where I was completely hard countering the opponent, as well as we're going to see here right now. I'm going to actually go for a bait, as you can see. I'm gonna go for the close combat as the opponent swaps in to their Metagross. I'm gonna get a ton of damage against them, and also we're going to have our Golisopod against them, which we can just completely hardwall the opponent with, and we're going to be able to win this game as they're going to forfeit. As said before, we have a ton of Rayquaza lead, which of course is nice for us, but sometimes it's actually a little bit tricky to play against, because this Pokemon of course has the move Dragon Ascent, which can knock me out from around like 90% health, I think, which is absolutely insane, going to make Rayquaza even stronger. And it's a little bit tricky for me to play around it, because yeah, actually maybe... I think this is the right call for me, by the way, to go into Kyogre, but it's a little bit difficult for me to play around it, because this is my only answer for Rayquaza. So like, I don't really have anything else in the bag. Here, Origin Pulse on Kyogre is of course not really ideal. I would not even want to run it if it wasn't a legacy move, I would say. Like, I think Thunder is better on Kyogre for sure. But as you can see here, we don't have anything for them. They got a ton of energy here, and they're going to get the bait again. Like, twice getting baited here was a very smart decision by them. And as you can see, I can go for my own bait, but it doesn't really help me. I still had to go for another fast move to go for a Moonblast, and they of course already have their Dragon Ascent, getting the easy knockout against me. And they're going to have a Heatran in the back, which would have been cool if I just aligned maybe the Golisopod against the opponent's other Pokemon, what's called, against the opponent's Solgaleo, but yeah, at the end of the day, you'd never know what they're going to have in the back. I didn't really expect the Heatran. What a surprise. It's not really a common Pokemon. And look at this, as I said before, the amount of Rayquazas we encountered was absolutely wild. I'm going to have now the matchup against another Xerneas here, where I can go ahead and go for a charge move, as I can swap out into my Kyogre trying to catch a move, which actually works out fairly well, as a Moonblast is going to hit me, but sadly, Moonblast is going to be able to get the knockout against me here if I don't shield. So I'm going to be forced to shield, so maybe this was not the ideal play for me. Maybe I should have swapped out immediately, which would have been most likely the better one, as I can just go for a Surf there. But here, at least I'm still going to be able to force a shield from the opponent, as they most likely think that I have like something like Blizzard. But as said before, I would most likely run Thunder on my Kyogre if I would be able to get this move, like, without having to remove a legacy move. So here we're gonna see the opponent going for the Dragon Ascent, which is amazing for me, as he can go for a close combat against them. And also, I'm going to try to get even more energy now against the opponent, as I know that my Golisopod is going to be able to go for Liquidation. We're going to also be able to take a Pressure's Blade if they want to, but the Fire Punch here is not going to do too much damage against me, and another Fire Punch is coming through, and I make a crucial mistake. I should have went already for the Liquidation, and I completely screwed up. I should have just went straight for it, and now the Pressure's Blade is going to knock me out, and there's nothing I can do about it. Like, there's literally nothing here right now. I'm going to be able to go for one close combat, gonna get the shield, gonna be able to go for another one, but now they still have their Rayquaza, and this is going to be... or is it? The opponent going to forfeit, because actually the opponent would not be able to go for any hard-hitting charge move, and I would be able to outspeed to the Moonblast over the Dragon Ascent. So this was a very good game for us, as we can now move on to the next game. We're going to have a Giratina in the lead, and also a Groudon swapping in. I can go for the Liquidation, I can take those Fire Punches, and I will be able to do a ton of damage against the opponent, especially after this Liquidation. I might be even able to just go for X-Scissor to knock out the opponent, but as you can see, we of course don't get the defense drop against them, and I think X-Scissor is just barely not enough here. Maybe I should just go for the X-Scissor though. Do I go for it? No, I don't go for it. I go for the Liquidation, hoping that I can get a shield from the opponent, and I don't. I'm gonna get the knockout, but we're gonna now see the Giratina coming in here again. I'm forced to go for Liquidation, trying to fish for the debuff, and I don't get the debuff again. I can try to go for an X-Scissor at least, and do a little bit of damage still, but as we can see right now, this is not gonna do too much, as I'm gonna go for a close combat bait against the opponent Xerneas. This is going to get the shield. I can go for a Moonblast now. This is going to get some damage most likely onto the opponent. Never mind, going to get the shield as well. Now they're in range for just one charge move of my Kyogre. I can just go ahead and go for the Surf maybe after a close combat, or I just gonna go straight for the Surf. Don't know if this is the right call, but I'm going to get the opponent low already, and I can just shield this move up, right? I should, no, actually going to let this move go through. It's going to be a Moonblast. I'm going to farm them down with my Xerneas here, as I'm going to use a shield against the opponent's Shadow Ball, but it's not over yet. I'm going to have to take another charge move here. That's going to be a tough. I'm going to try to go up to 2 close combats. Is this enough though to win the game? I'm just going to barely hang on with 1 HP. I can go for the first close combat. Does the opponent have another charge move stored? I think they did, and now we're still going to be able to win CMP as we have a 100% Xerneas winning this one here right now. But never mind, actually the opponent had a best bodied variant, so they definitely didn't get to the move, or the move didn't go up for them. But now we're going to take a look at the final match for today. We're going to have another Giratina Origin in the lead. Not ideal for us, but we're going to see the swap in from the Togekiss, allowing us to store 100 energy on our Xerneas, as well as we can go for our Kyogre. They went fairly fast for their charge move, which is going to be the Ancient Power, allowing us to go for 2 serves and definitely get the knockout here. And also, I was insanely lucky because the opponent just got an extra fast move in, which is normal for a 3 turn, but I just barely survived it with just a few HP left. As you can see here, 1 HP, which was so important as I now can just go ahead and go into the Golisopod. But this game was a little bit difficult and a little bit weird because you're going to see it right now. I can go for a full farm down, which is totally fine, but now of course I want to snipe the opponent with my Xerneas in the back, and I don't really want to go for the liquidation. And I thought, at least here, that I clicked above the Xerneas. I was so surprised. I wanted to go straight for the Xerneas and then straight for the Moonblast, and I just wasn't able to do this, and now I caught a move here, which is even worse for me, especially as my own move didn't go through. So like this, I'm still going to be able to get the knockout luckily, but now it depends on what they're going to have in the back. It's going to be the Primarina, and we can reach a charge move with just 1 HP left. This is going to get a ton of damage onto the opponent. Now it's time for Golisopod to show who's the strongest water type here in the Open Master League, as we even can go for the X-Scissor. And this is going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.